back into the panel format. So I'd like to welcome our moderator for the panel first, who will come up, and then welcome our fellow panelists. This is Kevin Harden. Some of you have met Kevin from earlier on in previous events. Kevin is the VP of Customer Experience at B&O Marketing. He's got a significant background in healthcare, omnichannel, patient experience, you name it. He's a seasoned vet. So he's going to be moderating a panel of esteemed experts on the topic of omnichannel excellence in 2026, the unconventional truth. I'll leave it at that because obviously we're going to dissect this topic and get a viewpoint from a mixture of panelists that are experts in their respective fields. There's also the opportunity for you yourselves to comment and ask questions when appropriate. So raise your hands. We'll obviously mic the audience there. Kevin's fun fact is he has 4 kids, 3 grandkids plus 1 on the way. 2 of his children are Division I athletes in football and volleyball. So, and him personally, he used to be a lead security detail team member for Tony Robbins. So obviously a clue for that will be his size when he comes up on stage. So got you back. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Kevin as our moderator, and then he'll go ahead and introduce our fellow panelists for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. As my daughter always quotes the meme, try being my size, Amy. So I know about that. I want to welcome our panelists today and bring them up. And we're really looking forward to this panel. It's got a great group of people with diverse backgrounds. So please come up. What's great about this panel and this conversation is the unconventional part, because you've all been to conferences where you'll hear a lot of talk about omnichannel, and it's been a buzzword for a long time, but we're really looking for some unconventional ideas and thinking in this group. So I'm going to start with Dina and let her give a little background about herself, and we'll go through each person.
Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Trump, and no, there is no relation. I know everyone was wondering, so we'll just get that out of the way. So I work at AstraZeneca. I'm an omnichannel strategist. I support D2C and HCP sides of the business, but my background is in e-commerce and consumer marketing. So I come from large corporations and really bringing that customer-first mindset into pharma, and I try to do that every day at work.
I'm Sabrina McGuigan. You just heard from me. I am currently at Sanofi in franchise operations in global rare, but I've spent the bulk of my career in global medical affairs. I've worked on the launch of over 20 brands over across oncology as well as rare disease, and I'm very excited to be talking with these 2 lovely ladies.
Hey everyone, I'm Nivi. Been with GSK for about 10 plus years with a background in analytics, media agency, market access, you name it, commercial. So very much focused currently on the omnichannel hit CP engagement side of the business, but I bring in a very unique lens of patient focus as well, so it's a perfect intersection in terms of where we want to move next.
Thank you. So again, the great thing is the diversity of background and experience coming into pharma. A lot of years in pharma, but starting out in other categories that I think adds a unique view to it. So my first question to the group is that omnichannel has been the buzzword and the focus for the last 10 years. And everywhere you go, it's all about omnichannel. What do you think is going to change now in 2026 that could possibly make a big difference in success where it's been a long time with, mixed results? We can start.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So why it's remained so difficult, I think, If I ask 5 different people in my organization what omnichannel means, I'm going to get 5 completely different answers. There are so many people in our organization that have omnichannel in the title, and I think that is part of the problem. We've talked for so long about omnichannel as this high-level strategy, but not really talking about what good execution of omnichannel is. And for a while, well, for so long, we have also thought that great omnichannel means that you need to be in every single channel, regardless of performance. And just to give a little story, so I worked on a pilot launch brand, and we were told to have a startup mindset because this was like a net new service for the organization, and leadership wanted us to think differently and not just do like your normal pharma tactics. And then at the same time, our media agency recommended a very traditional TV commercial. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know any startup that can afford a TV commercial in their first year of business. So when I pushed back and asked questions, I was told that this is still pharma data and we need to do a TV commercial. And that meeting and that moment has stuck with me for a while because I think that tension, it has like something that we've all experienced. We want to monetize and be agile, but we're still working in those legacy playbooks. I think what's changing, and for 2026, I hate to use this word, but AI. So we know that we need to be in the channels where our patients are and not every channel. And that all of our marketing assets do, like, in every channel, the marketing asset cannot be the same. They don't perform the same. So with AI, we will be able to help scale and personalize at a rate that was not possible a few years ago.
That's a great answer, and I totally agree with you. I would also say that if I asked 5 different people what omnichannel meant, they wouldn't be able to give me a consistent answer. I think I always try to take it back to who are we trying to message to? Are we trying to message to the patient? Are we trying to message to the clinician? And just also, as you mentioned with the coming of AI, we have to realize that while we have more technology at our fingertips, so do our consumers. So how do we do responsible marketing so that whatever we're creating is complementary to what the clinician is saying and not necessarily juxtaposing challenging what the clinician is trying to say in their treatment patterns.
Yeah, and building on that, right, I think the most difficult aspect, at least what I've seen over the past years, was measuring that true impact from all of your omni-channel framework. And how do you piece that out? Which channel is driving what revenue or what ROI? I think that was very difficult to piece together, and we're getting much better at it with all the new systems and technology implementation. We're getting to do that at pace. So now we're going more informed, more agile in saying, what should my next campaign look like? What should my next execution strategy look like? How much exactly am I investing here? And not waiting like a full year to do like a marketing mix analysis to say, okay, this is what it looks like, but you're now moving at pace and making those intelligent decisions.
Great, thank you. To Dana's point, it's over the years I've heard so many teams talk about, oh, we need to think differently, we need to think entrepreneurially, and at the end of the day, they all retreat back to the way they've always done it. Just do what we did last year, play it safe. And it's an epidemic in the industry. And it really, I think the smaller companies, the biotechs and the smaller firms that are thinking differently have a massive opportunity to really engage that way. So tell me about the things that truly separate the companies that are doing omni-channel well, where they've really made an impact and made a difference, versus the ones that are just kind of checking the boxes. And if there's specific things that you think are like must-haves that are different, elaborate on that a little bit.
I can go first. And I definitely think it comes to it all points to the foundation. You have a good customer data intelligence platform, you're going to build on that and you're going to execute on that, right? So foundational, absolute must. I think many teams over here too have been working and getting all of that right. And after that, it's all that interconnectedness. How do you layer in AI? How do you bring those insights out? And how do you do the personalization at scale and go from there? So I think it's very much build foundation on, and that's how we've all evolved in the industry too, where we started versus where we are now. And I think now if I talk to different people in this space, they're like, oh, we just did 4 campaigns this past month, or depending on the size of the company, it's like looking very different per therapeutic area. It's really very interesting to see the scale at which things are being done and then how it's all being further refined into where we want to go next.
Since data is so much of your focus and such a huge part of everything we do, how do you see that dealing with the fact you have massive amounts of data and how to manage it effectively and really chunk it down into value?
And there is no lack of data, right? If anything, there's excess, way excess. And you're never going to get it like 100% right. Like if any company out there is going to come and tell me that my data is 100% right, real time, I'm going to have my doubts. So we want to get there. Yes, that's the North Star, but I don't think we're fully there yet. So I think it comes down to that fine balance of how can I make the best use of this data with what I want to do. And so honing in on those targeting strategies and your marketing execution strategies, what is your focus area? To Sabrina's point, do you want to focus on the consumer? Do you want to focus on the clinician? And how do you want to optimize on that?
Sabrina?
I would say, I think it's important that we stay curious. We have a lot of data, but we don't always know what's going to reach either clinicians or patients. I mean, we can do personas out the wazoo of the different clinical types, but we also have to remember that the clinician's approach to medicine is shifting as doctors are getting younger. How they're processing data. I mean, I remember seeing the head of clinical care from Beth Israel talk, and his concern about how much his residents were relying on AI to help making differential diagnoses because they were just looking at the patient and plugging in numbers and hoping what it came out. So I think as we're developing these omni-channel opportunities, again, we have to be responsible and, be curious and also be provocative, and maybe you try it at a pilot scale, and if it works, you scale it. But I think, especially if you're in a crowded space, you might need to kind of upset the apple cart a little bit.
Well, I achieved one of my goals. I got Sabrina to mention AI, which was what I came here to do today.
You can go now, I guess.
So, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No, please.
So I think about this question a little bit differently. I think that it's the people within the organization that is making great omni-channel. So we all have the data and the different tech available, but it's the people within the organization that's breaking down the silos, that's thinking about the customer journey holistically and not the organizational chart. Right, like if our channels are siloed within the organization, there's already friction and the customer is not even a part of the journey yet. So that's a huge problem. So I really think it's the people and the process.
Right. Perfect. So the patient aspect of what we do is what I'm so passionate about. And, the patient journey, and companies that are looking always about ROI, where do you see the potential for companies that might be missing the mark where there is ROI to demonstrate, but it involves the benefit of the patient? Dana, you can go again.
I'm actually going to steal from you. I think Dana hit the nail on the head. If you don't have internal alignment, I'm sure all of us have been in a room where we've had multi-channel meetings with different business units and, no one knew what the other one was doing. And that's, if we're going to, put forth some sort of omni-channel opportunity or strategy, I think that internal alignment is critical, and like always tying it back to understanding what is the strategy, and what are we hoping to accomplish to whom. You know, it's sort of like the 5 rights of medicine, like right drug, right time, right patient, et cetera. We've got to do the same thing here.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think that the direct to patient is really a huge shift in where companies can get great ROI. Just providing a customer-centric journey is super beneficial. Customers are experiencing digital experiences with every other company outside of pharma, and they're expecting that Amazon type of experience. And we need to figure out how to give that to them. So I think depending on where your organization is on the direct-to-patient adoption model really depends on if it's a huge ROI or if you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, and I think like from the patient lens, it's the significant moments, right? Like what matter the most? Like, did I get my diagnosis right, building on Sabrina's presentation? Or did I get the right medication? Is this working for me? Is the clinician understanding me? And finding those moments, and if you're able to reach both the clinician and the patient at that exact time, I think that would absolutely make a meaningful difference.
Excellent. So much of the work that we do is engaging on difficult challenges that people have, clients have at B&O. And a lot of that work was done through personal connection. We would meet, we'd have workshops, we'd bring in, you know, the brand team along with the patients and really dig in to find those moments that matter that you refer to. Now, so many companies are leaning toward digital components to create journeys. They're taking the human element out of it. I mean, granted, it's fed with great data, they say, but I have concerns about that. How do you feel about that and what you're seeing? Is there anything lost by that human connection?
I'm going to take an attempt, and I might be wrong. I mean, I said it a little earlier. You know, we have to realize that we are still dealing with humans. Technology is great. It's beautiful. And if it can shift the needle to help patients at the end of the day, awesome. But you still have a human doctor, a human patient interacting together. And if we need to, like, lessen that misunderstanding that happens, or that, you know, time to diagnosis or time to appropriate treatment, you still have that human aspect to it. So we have to be, again, responsible. We have to be cognizant of, like, it should be augmented intelligence, not, you know, replacing existing intelligence. Right. It should be a supplement.
I fully 100% agree, right? Like, and that's where you can give your personal channel all the strength that it needs using these tools and technology and AI and whatnot, so they have everything that they need before they go into a conversation with the clinician. And it's not like they're having to do the grunt work that they had to do in the past. So now you have a perfect supplement in there that says, okay, I can get all of this at my fingertips, go in fully prepared for a conversation and make a meaningful difference.
I'll also add, I think, all of that, but to build on that, it also allows, you know, time to see a doctor is so long. So I'm gonna do an at-home like test to make sure that I do actually need to talk to the doctor and have those informed conversations. I think it's gonna help bridge a lot of gaps.
Great. So I know you all work for large pharma companies. So what would you recommend for the people that might work for smaller, more agile organizations, but or vendors that are talking to them? What could they do differently in Omnichannel that would really make a difference for them?
I think at this, I'm guessing here, but at a smaller company, I would think that it would be a little bit easier to make changes to what's happening. So at AZ, it's like 30 people to make one decision, basically. And I think at smaller companies, you're able to be more agile, quicker, really taking in the data and the information and adjusting and pivoting pretty quickly are turning off channels that aren't working and turning on other ones.
Yeah, I used to actually work at PTC Therapeutics, which is a smaller. They're growing, but when I was there, they were small. And Dana brings up a great point. We were able to be more agile because there was less layers of decision makers, less SOPs. But at the same time, to what you said earlier, like TV commercials were few and far between because we also dealt in rare. So how many commercials do you want to do when you're dealing across multiple rare diseases? So I would say if you're an agency that's proposing ideas, like really think about your customer. And someone said it earlier, like do what you're good at. Also don't boil the ocean. Try to really be like specific and intent with what choices you suggest, and think about like what needle are you trying to move?
And exactly building on what both of you said, right? I think it's not about doing all channels. When we speak about omnichannel, it's about what's your focus area and how do you want to do it very well. So I think that should be the priority.
Great. Because no panel would be complete without an AI question in 2026. What are the leading companies doing using AI to deliver this hyper-personalization that everyone has talked about for 10 years and never really nailed? What are they doing differently with AI and still dealing with the regulatory constraints that they have to deal with the products?
Well, I know at Sanofi we've taken a big shift to implementing AI into our more mature marketed brands. So instead of having partners help us update after like slight changes in the PI, we're using AI to kind of help lessen the bandwidth there and lessen the financial taxing there so that we can focus on, more of our rare, more of our, niche type of opportunities. So I've seen some companies come in and support and really understand what we're trying to accomplish and do smarter.
And we're going through something called an AI governance framework, right? Which is pretty much integrated into every workflow. So any key decision you're trying to do or use case for AI, this team is fully brought in all the way from the beginning. And so you sort of have them with you on that journey and you're not going in like, I have a fully built solution. Do you approve? And the answer is like, hold on a minute. So we're not seeing that type of thing. I think it was very much a cause of concern when this whole AI bubble was, blowing up, and we've made some refinements on how we bring people along, how we bring them on that journey, and so adoption, execution has become much, much smoother.
So we are right now piloting. We're bringing in a privacy-first measurement compliance company or capability that will come in, and on the back end of our journey, we'll be able to see through this company what's actually driving conversion. So we have our patient journey, but from the patient side of things, you don't normally know, due to privacy, what marketing is actually driving that conversion. So we're bringing in this company to help us connect all the dots of the customer journey. They're an AI company. They use AI. I don't know all the technical backgrounds, but I know that they are going to accomplish the goals that we want. So we'll be able to make better informed decisions to make our marketing more targeted, to know which channels are actually driving the conversion so that we can lean more into there. But we're bringing in a third party for that.
Great. So from your years of spending time working and focusing on omnichannel, if there was one thing that you would recommend that people stop doing or they kill in the process, what would that be? And what do you think they should do instead that would really have an impact? A lot of these things are table stakes now. Yeah. Leadership just expects it. So what are some things that have not had an ROI?
Well, I think going back to my first answer, just omnichannel does not mean you need to be everywhere. You need to be where your customers are, and you need to have a connected, seamless experience. while in the background, like it probably takes, again, 50 people, multiple different AORs and internal people to put out this marketing across channels, but to a customer, it has to feel like one cohesive journey. It can't feel like 50 people are putting this together. So just working together.
The one thing that I'd like people to focus, especially in this area, is a little bit more about where we want to be in the future in omnichannel, right? We're covering all channels where needed. We have AI integrated. What next? Where do we want to evolve? And that's where, like, I think we have to start thinking about collectively as an industry, because there's so much talk about agentic solutions, agentic AI, and we're seeing much more research come out where marketing is evolving, where agents are interacting on your behalf. And so there might be a doctor, clinician agent who's on the receiving end of a lot of the marketing push that we're doing. So a little bit futuristic out there, but we want to collectively think what that means, especially because the point you brought up, Kevin, right? Like losing that human touch, what does that mean? How do we get past that? So just something, food for thought.
And I guess I would just add to these really great answers that know what you're trying to accomplish. You know, I think a lot of times we get swooped. Swept. Thank you. I'm not having a stroke. Swept up in, buzzwords. So just, like the important word there is strategy. So like, what are you trying to do? And you don't have to make it everywhere, and make sure the human's involved.
Excellent, thank you. So I'd like to open up for questions. I'm sure we have some great questions for this group.
This is an excellent panel, thank you so much. I am wondering on the topic of dusty old playbooks, if you have any insights, thoughts about what omnichannel looks like in now and in the future for specifically market access, population-based decision makers, organized customers, whatever you want to call them, either from a content perspective, a channel mix perspective, a data perspective, and even ROI, knowing how untrackable, traceable that stuff can be, where you might see that going.
I don't have a lot of experience with that.
So you're talking about the payer market? Okay. So payer market, obviously very important. They're making the decisions on the pricing models and availability to our patients for our products. I've found that educating them on alignment with how you're educating clinicians is often important. I know when we used to start building our strategies, we would involve them much sooner than when product was coming to market. The more that they understand about the space, about the need that this is fulfilling, the more important. So as you're thinking about that strategy for omnichannel, like bring them along the same way you're bringing your clinicians along, because while they're not prescribing, they are making the decisions on what can be prescribed and what gets on formulary.
I do think also there's a lot of, we're moving from like, oh, we've realized there's an access barrier, to sort of getting ahead of that. We already know that there's going to be a barrier. How do we sort of circumvent that? So I think a lot of conversations at the table right now are in that predictive space, right? Like how can you get ahead of it versus just realizing it? So a lot of conversations between our market access partners, commercial partners, in making sure that that therapy is available for the patients.
And I think the conversations are so important, because I experience when the market access and the commercial teams are not talking to each other, and I'm talking to them individually, and I'm like, wait, like this is what's happening on this side. So just talking and breaking down those silos will go a long way.
So I have a little bit of an open-ended type question. Oh, I'm over here, sorry. Maybe I should stand up, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I'm hiding from you, Dana. So a little open-ended. I was thinking about in the omni-channel solution development space, in the the letters we won't say. Maybe we'll use the numbers, 19 for A and I. Okay. Take me through your methodology on your build versus buy decision process for solutions in this space right now. Being from a big company, how do you go about that decision making?
Are you talking about what we choose to build ourselves versus what we choose to farm out?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much the speed. I think for me, it comes down to if there is a fully developed solution with a lot of integration capabilities and that would mesh with my existing systems perfectly, and we can do that fast enough, then building it ourselves, that's definitely a deal breaker.
I think it also depends on team size. I'm part of a big company, but I'm not part of a big team. So I think it's also like, what do I want to invest my bandwidth in? And is building a solution the best investment? So I know a lot of times we'll make decisions on partnering based on the fact of okay, we have a general idea, but are we really the experts to really flesh this out? Let's tag team in with somebody that we know can do this, because there's only 5 of us and we don't have the time to do it.
And then to build all that, I think scalability. We've built a lot of things, I will say, internally we brought in vendors that work for our very large brands, but then when we have our rare disease brands and our smaller brands, they don't work the same, but we're still expected to have the same outcome and use AI, so scalability is very important.
All right, any last questions and comments before we hop right on? No? Okay, let's give our panel a round of applause. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.